The sun hadn't even risen. Snow fell in thick, silent sheets. The morning officer Ryan Hale spotted something strange on the deserted mountain road. At first he thought it was debris from the storm, until it moved. Slowly. Weakly dotted German shepherd standing perfectly still in the middle of the snow, blindfolded, trembling, and bleeding. At first, Ryan thought it was some kind of sick prank. Until the dog took a shaky step toward him and collapsed. Ryan slammed the brakes and jumped out, heart racing. Ryan rushed forward. "What happened to you? Hey, are you hurt?" he called. "Who did this to you?" The dog didn't bark, didn't move. Instead, he slowly lowered himself to the ground. That's when Ryan noticed the red backpack beside the dog, half buried in snow, zipped tight, as if protecting something precious. The dog collapsed at his feet, but kept one paw resting on the red backpack as if guarding something precious. Ryan knelt, hands shaking as he unzipped the bag. Ryan unzipped it carefully. Inside was a single letter, and the moment he read the first line, his throat closed. "If you are reading this, I didn't survive. Please save him. He has no one else." Inside that backpack was something that would change the officer's life and break millions of hearts. This wasn't an abandoned dog. This was a retired K9 sent on one final mission. This was a retired K9 who had been left to die, with a final message no one was ready for. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The snowstorm had swallowed the mountain road whole, turning the world into a white, freezing silence. Officer Ryan Hale gripped the steering wheel, squinting through swirling flakes as he patrolled the isolated stretch. Winter duty was usually quiet, too quiet, but today, something felt wrong. The kind of wrong his instincts refused to ignore. Then he saw it. A dark shape standing motionless in the middle of the road. Ryan slowed, his pulse quickening. As his headlights cut through the snowy haze, the figure became clear. A German shepherd, standing with its legs trembling, its fur matted with ice, and a strip of cloth tied across its eyes. They blindfolded that Ryan's heart dropped. Oh my God! He jumped out of the car, boots crunching in the snow. The dog didn't growl, didn't flinch, didn't even try to run. He just stood there, breathing hard, as if holding on by a thread. Then Ryan noticed something else, a red backpack, half buried in the snow beside him. The dog nudged it weakly with his nose. Blood dripped from a cut on his leg. "Hey, buddy. It's okay," Ryan whispered, kneeling slowly. "I'm here to help." At the sound of his voice, the dog's entire body shuddered with relief, as if he had been waiting for someone, anyone, to finally find him before it was too late. Ryan reached out slowly, hands steady, voice calm. "Easy. I've got you." The dog didn't resist as Ryan untied the blindfold. The moment the cloth slipped off, the shepherd blinked rapidly, squinting against the snow. His eyes, clouded with fear and exhaustion, told a story Ryan wasn't ready for. This wasn't a stray. This was a dog who had known discipline, loyalty, and heartbreak. That Ryan's breath hitched as he examined him. The shepherd wore a torn tactical vest, the kind used by military and police K9 units. Under the snow-matted fur, Ryan spotted bruises, old and new. Someone hadn't just abandoned him. Someone had hurt him. The dog wobbled and nudged the red backpack again, whimpering softly as if begging Ryan not to leave it behind. Ryan lifted the bag. It was heavier than he expected. "You want me to take this?" he murmured. The shepherd lowered his head, pressing it gently against Ryan's arm, an answer full of desperation. Ryan opened his car door. "Come on, boy. Let's get you warm." But before climbing in, the dog turned toward the empty road and let out a low, trembling cry. Not a bark, not a howl, a sound of mourning. Something, or someone, was missing. And whatever had happened out here was far worse than Ryan imagined. Back inside the patrol car, the heater blasting warm air, Ryan gently placed the red backpack on the passenger seat. The injured shepherd curled on the floorboard, shivering despite the rising temperature. Every few seconds, he lifted his head just to make sure the backpack was still there. That alone told Ryan everything. Whatever was inside mattered more to the dog than his own pain. Ryan unzipped it slowly. Inside was a neatly folded blanket, a metal water bowl, and a plastic folder with documents. But one item stopped him cold, a handwritten envelope labeled, To the officer who finds my partner. Ryan felt his stomach twist that he slid out a letter. The paper was wrinkled from moisture, but the words were clear, shaking, emotional handwriting that revealed a story no officer should ever have to read. His name is Shadow. He saved my life more times than I can count. If you're reading this, it means I didn't make it home. Ryan glanced at the dog, Shadow, who stared back with tired, grieving eyes. The letter continued. I blindfolded him so he wouldn't see what happened. He's been through enough. Please, take care of him. He is all I have left to leave behind. Ryan swallowed hard, emotions burning his throat. Shadow nudged his knee again, eyes pleading to eye in that moment. Ryan realized. This wasn't just a rescue. It was a final wish. Ryan sat in the patrol car for a long moment, the letter trembling in his hands as the weight of its meaning settled over him. Shadow wasn't just injured. He was grieving. Grieving a handler who clearly loved him enough to leave his last words in a snow-soaked backpack. Ryan opened the folder next. Inside were several photographs. Shadow sitting proudly beside a young man in uniform. Shadow receiving a service medal. Shadow standing guard at a military memorial. And then, the final picture. Shadow lying beside the same man's hospital bed. Eyes filled with fear. Ryan exhaled shakily. He started the engine and radioed dispatch for a background search on the name signed in the letter. Sergeant Michael Rourke. Minutes later, dispatch responded, voice somber. Sergeant Rourke was reported deceased 2 days ago. Roadside accident. His dog was listed missing. Ryan clenched the steering wheel. But one detail didn't add up. His family, Ryan asked. Did they come forward for Shadow? A pause. Negative. They refused custody. Dispatch confirmed. Said they couldn't handle a K9 with trauma. Ryan felt anger rise like fire. Shadow hadn't been lost. He had been discarded. Just then, Shadow lifted his head sharply, ears twitching toward the dark forest beyond the road. He whimpered, pushing his nose against the door, insisting on something Ryan didn't yet understand. You want me to follow you, buddy? Ryan whispered. Shadow stood, limping, but determined, whatever truth remained. Shadow was ready to show it. Shadow limped out of the patrol car the moment Ryan opened the door, his breathing quick but determined. Snow whipped across the forest line, yet the dog pushed forward as if guided by memory alone. Ryan followed, flashlight cutting through the swirling white. Shadow, slow down. Your leg. Ryan called, but the K9 didn't stop. He led Ryan off the main road, through brittle bushes and over a small ridge. Then Shadow paused, nose trembling, and pressed his paw against a clump of snow near a fallen tree. Ryan knelt down and brushed the snow aside, revealing a second backpack, identical to the red one. His heart pounded. Inside it were medical supplies, a half-empty water bottle, and a folded jacket with Sergeant Rourke's name stitched on the collar. But what broke Ryan was the small, waterproof notebook tucked at the bottom. On the first page, in the same handwriting as the letter, were the words, "If Shadow makes it here, it means he's still fighting. Please take him home." Ryan swallowed hard as Shadow rested his head on Ryan's knee, eyes tired but hopeful. This wasn't just a place. It was the last checkpoint Shadow and his handler tried to reach together. Before tragedy tore them apart, Shadow had led Ryan to his handler's final memory. Ryan carried Shadow back to the patrol car, the second backpack pressed securely against his chest. As he settled the dog onto a warm blanket, Shadow exhaled softly, like he finally understood he wasn't alone anymore. Later at the station, Ryan submitted the letter, notebooks, and photos as evidence. Word spread quickly. Officers gathered around Shadow. Some moved to tears as they learned how the loyal K9 had walked miles through a snowstorm. Blindfolded, injured, and heartbroken, still trying to complete his late handler's final request, the department held a small ceremony honoring Sergeant Rourke. But the moment that broke everyone was when Shadow limped to the memorial wall and rested his head beneath his handler's photograph, silent, grieving, loyal until the end. Ryan knelt beside him. He's gone, buddy. But you're not. Shadow pressed his nose into Ryan's chest, accepting the truth. And choosing a new beginning, the sheriff approached quietly. Officer Hale, Shadow needs a home. A real one. Ryan didn't hesitate. He already has one, with me. That night, as they drove home, Shadow curled against Ryan's side, eyes finally at peace. Blindfolded. Abandoned K9 had found his way through grief, snow, and darkness, and into the arms of someone who would never leave him again.